This is true. Okay, here we go, guys. Let's get this show on the road. I'm going to pause this, load up the right video here. And we will be broadcasting today. This is going to be some recorded games from the recent FAB Foundry online playtest league using Tabletop Simulator. Lots of fun, and we're going to be having a few games from that broadcasting soon. I just have to find the right games. I recorded a few of these, and some of them were better than others. Okay. So my apologies also for not having recorded more of the games from this event. I had quite a few. But we're going to be going live here. The first one is going to be myself against Will. I believe this was the semi-final for this event, and we are going to be broadcasting it. We're going to have some interesting stuff here. Let me just quickly send out a message to the Discord, let people know what's going on. How are you guys doing? Good day for you guys. Anything exciting going on today? I'm excited to be streaming these. We're gonna have two games today. They're both gonna be with Classic Constructed Dorinthia from this event, and they should be a lot of fun. So let's get this show on the road. So basically, both of these games are going to be myself playing in the Classic Constructed tournament. It was put on by FAB Foundry, and this was kind of the culmination of multiple weeks of preparation. And once we got over to this phase of it, it was going to be I forget how many people were playing. It wasn't a huge tournament, but we had some strong competition, and we had the West Coast and East Coast tournaments the week before. I was actually able to win in the West Coast tournament, and now I am facing off with Will, who I believe either won or came in second in the East Coast tournament. I think he won it, but I'm not 100%, so my apologies, Will, if I am misstating your qualifications here. But this was a very interesting game, and let's get things started. So we had Dorinthia versus Dash, classic matchup. So typically, Dorinthia is the aggro, Dash is the control. Dorinthia wants to go fast and try to put a lot of pressure on before Dash can get those items set up. Dash wants to defend heavily, hold off Dorinthia as long as possible, and then get those pistol shots coming out, buffed up by all the items in order to take control of the game. So this one's going to start out here. We see Will is going to be pitching. Oh, and before I forget, shout out to Sam Chaka, who followed the stream in between the last stream and this one. I appreciate it. Thank you for the follow. All right, now back to business. We got a pistol shot coming in here. Induction chamber loaded up, so induction chamber is allowing that pistol to go again. I block it with a razor reflex. And then he's going to play a copy of... he's going to play... I actually don't know which of the mech attacks this is, but one of the mech attacks coming in here, I think for 4 damage here. And I'm going to block it. Blocking 3. And so not the like total block. Rupa says hello Rupa. Elaine Pbat says hi. Hey, how's it going? Good to see you guys in the chat here. Good to see you guys checking things out. And yeah, so basically I took 1 damage there because I only blocked 3. Didn't want to lose some of the stuff that I had. I did end up blocking with a Spoils of War, which is kind of nasty. Brewtap Cast raiding with a party of 2. What's up, Brewtap Cast? Good to see you guys here. So I'm going to go for a hit and run into a Dawnblade Swing. Opponent blocking for 3 here. And coming out with an Out for Blood to give it +3 and give my next attack +1. Pretty strong situation, but there is that chance we're going to see a defense reaction coming out here to stop me. I do have an Iron Song response to potentially try and push through. My opponent does have that defense reaction. It's going to be a Fate Foreseen. And let's see here. Yeah, nice. We got some raid emoji there in the chat. Good to see you guys. Now, sorry guys, I am having some technical difficulties here with the stream. I'm hoping this is going to resolve itself shortly. My apologies if there are any problems right now, but we are having a little issue here with Google Chrome. BrewTapCast says, just finished the kickoff for a small creator WTR sealed tournament and happy I can raid into some more FAB. Yeah, FAB streaming is getting bigger. Okay, so my the short version of that turn, which was slightly disrupted by me trying to get rid of all this stuff, was that my opponent managed to stop me. As there was an unmovable to come out in addition to that other stuff, and that was enough to shut things down. Didn't manage to get the hit. And that's just how it goes sometimes. Actually, that's how it goes a lot of the time. Dash has very strong defenses. On the plus side, I didn't really have to worry about too much coming back at me. I think it was just a pistol shot for 2. This turn, I'm going to go for an E-Strike 7. My opponent blocks 3, and then I'm going to play a Razor Reflex for +3, 10 total. If it hits, I'll get Go Again. And that is going to allow me to do a second swing. Okay. And yeah, so then the Dawnblade Swing coming out for 3. My opponent knows that I don't have Go Again, I don't have energy, so he just takes it. But I'm quite happy to be able to do a bunch of damage on that turn. You know, I didn't get any counters, didn't get any like long-term build-up, but I did get 10 damage through, which is pretty sweet. Now, my opponent not blocking that much might indicate he has something cool coming, so he goes for a pistol shot. I think I'm going to not block this. He uses his chamber. I'm down to 35. And then he is going to load up. Pitching an unmovable. That's important to note because it does mean that he might have more stuff later. And then pitching another card to play a Spark of Genius for 4, allowing him to search for one of his 2-cost items and get it into play. All right, classic mech gameplay there. Now, this is it's going to be another induction chamber, and I'm going to say, okay, you got your 2 induction chambers. You know, that means he is partially set up. He's not set up yet, though, and I can keep the pressure on myself. Time for the hit and run into a Dawnblade Swing. He blocks the Dawnblade Swing, and I follow that one up with a copy of the classic Flock of the Featherwalkers Red, coming in for 5 damage. I reveal a Warrior's Valor. It's also going to give me a Quicken token for Go Again on my next attack. That one he blocks also with 1 card, allowing me to chip in 2 more damage. So I'm thinking, okay, you know, I'm doing some damage, but unfortunately for me, he loads up one of his items and then plays a Plasma Purifier, having pitched a blue. So no threat to me that turn, but it does mean that he's getting set up faster and faster, and I really don't like the sight of all those items from a Mechanologist player. So we're going to have to see what I can do, but you know, this isn't, to be fair, the fastest setup that I've ever seen, but it's still a pretty fast setup, and I don't want to see a fast setup when I'm playing against a Mechanologist. I would much rather have them be playing it slow. So I'm going to go for an E-Strike here. E-Strike, I think this was an E-Strike 7, and it has Go Again thanks to the Quicken token, and then I follow that one up with a Command and Conquer. So he ends up taking 1 damage from the E-Strike and then double blocking to prevent taking any damage from the Command and Conquer. So overall, he uses all his cards, still takes 1 damage. On his next turn, he just shoots me with his pistol for 2. I am basically fine with that. Guys, I want to check in real fast. I'm getting some weird stuff going on here with my system. How is the stream looking for you guys? Is the stream running okay? There are some things that I can do to mess with it, but I'm actually not sure what the experience is like for you. If there are problems, please let me know and I can make some adjustments. Okay, so we are coming in here. Took that pistol shot. Okay, a little choppy, but I can see what's going on for the most part. Okay, hopefully things are going to get clearer. My apologies for the issues there. We were just having some slight technical difficulties, and I think it's resolved now, but we'll see. Okay, another Inner Coyote says stream looks okay on mobile, and Rupa says perfect. Great. Okay. So hopefully that's all dealt with. I do have this Warrior's Valor Red in Arsenal. I play it pitching a Time Snap Potion. I also am going to play this Steel Blade Supremacy, and then I'm going to swing. So this is a very dangerous attack. I'm coming in for a total of 8, and if it hits, I'll get Go Again and draw a card. This is really, really good. The downside is I don't have any energy floating, so I'm not as threatening attack reactions as I might be under other circumstances. However, there is still that danger that I'm going to have a Razor or something. My opponent, unfortunately, has a very powerful defense reaction, a big unmovable from Arsenal. I'm going to play a Glint. Unfortunately, I don't have Reprise because he did just block that totally with a card from Arsenal, but then that's going to allow me to follow the attack up with a copy of Snatch coming in for 4, and if it hits it, we'll draw a card, which I can then Arsenal. So I was not happy to see the big unmovable there. That is how it goes sometimes. And then I'm going to come in. So I'm coming in now with the Glint into Snatch. He goes for a double blocking with his Iron Rot Gauntlet and with a piece of equipment. That does mean he won't have too many cards for next turn, but I didn't really get much through there. Was definitely not happy to see that unmovable, and also I think there's a fair chance that he might have another defense reaction just based on it's kind of risky to just do a straight unmovable like that because that attack was going to be really impactful if it landed, and if I had a Razor or an Out for Blood or something, I would be able to push it through. So there is a chance that he actually has another defense reaction in hand. Definitely not what I want to see. Yeah, so he just goes for a single shot and then Arsenal's that card, so I am pretty worried about that potential defense reaction in Arsenal. My own hand this turn is really weird. I have 2 potions, I have a Singing Steel Blade, and I have a Razor Reflex. Because I don't have something that clearly gets Go Again, this is sort of weird. I do have this Time Snap Potion. I think what I end up doing here is I'm going to just go for the natural swing, and we'll see what he does. Now, I do still have my bolters. I've blocked with my bolters against that pistol shot. I think seeing that my hand was weird enough that I might need to use them. So he's going to block with 1 card. This is a situation where, so I'm looking at my arsenal here to make sure that I haven't used up all my glints. I'm going to use a Singing Steel Blade for +1, and then its effect is going to allow me to search for a glint. So this is a classic warrior move. Singing Steel Blade to search, find the glint, play the glint. The glint will allow me to draw a card, and it will give me Go Again, and then I'm over him by 1, so if he wants to play a defense reaction on this, he can, but it's not going to be as much of an issue as it might be in some other cases. I find a Steel Blade Supremacy. They're a pretty strong card, though not one that's necessarily applicable this turn, and, he's now got to think, I think he probably does have that defense reaction in Arsenal. But is he going to use it to just stop 1 damage? The answer is yes. He plays a Sink Below, so I had a correct evaluation on that. Plays the Sink Below, and he does use the Sink trigger, probably trying to find another item. But I'm actually fine with that because this other potion is actually a good card to use with that glint. And then I'm going to Arsenal the Razor Reflex since it doesn't block for as much. And I now have that potion ready for the future. So overall, didn't get through, but did get a cool effect. Made him spend a defense reaction. However, I am going to have to endure a big barrage here. He's going to go for a Plasma Purifier and Pistol Shot coming in for 3. And he's going to reload there, he's going to use the Induction Chamber there, and then another Pistol Shot for 3. I'm not really happy about taking these pistol shots. I would prefer there to be more of a life differential at this point, but I think I need to keep up the pressure. Also, allowing me to go lower than him on life will let me play the Scar for a Scar that I have in my hand, and it will have Go Again. So because of that factor, that's actually pretty important, and I'm thinking that that's going to make it a little bit better for me to sustain this damage here. And under normal circumstances, I might not want to take this much damage, but with the Scar for a Scar, it should be a little bit better. So then the opponent's just loading up his stuff, and then I think this last card ends up, I think he ends up throwing this out, and he throws this out. It's just a 0 to 60 blue, I think. So he's just throwing out another little attack there to try to poke me some more, get some more damage through, and we'll see whether or not that's going to end up landing a lot of damage. The answer is no, by the way. I just endure it. The thing about these attacks is that ultimately they're not threatening enough to make me want to use cards and lose momentum. And this turn I have potentially a sweet play with Twinning Blade. So I've actually decided I'm not gonna use the Scar for a Scar immediately because I want to have more threat. So based on this, he has less understanding of what's in my hand, and I'm going to try to bluff potentially something big so that I might get him to overblock this attack, and then if he overblocks this attack, I'm going to be able to use the Twinning Blade and sneak in there. So I use the potion, play the hit and run, Steel Blade Supremacy, Dawn Blade Swing, and we see what happens here. So he's thinking about his block. I'm coming in for 5 with Go Again. If it hits, I will get a card, which could allow me to get a lot of aggressive pressure. And I think the card in Arsenal is a Razor Reflex, if I recall correctly. Yeah, because I loaded that in the other turn because I wanted to put the card that blocked for 2 into Arsenal. That's a basic tactic. Okay, so he actually full blocks. He blocks 12, and this is like a perfect situation for me because this is exactly what I want to see, a huge overblock. And with that huge overblock, I'm now going to be able to do some really major damage. So I'm like, okay, nothing. I'm going to play the copy of Scar for a Scar to come in for 4 with Go Again. He says, he takes it. He says no block. Then I'm going to play the Twinning Blade. You can actually use Twinning Blade on an attack action card. And then it's still targeting the sword, but you don't have to play it on the sword attack. And then I'm going to use that to then come in with the Dawn Blade for 5. If it hits draw a card, he doesn't have anything to do about it. He's going to have to just take it. If he wanted to block with his equipment, he could only block a total of 4. So I'm going to land a hit for 5, getting me a card. And then I'm going to be able to break my Refraction Bolters and come in again for 5. So this is a really, really favorable situation. Twinning Blade allowing me to smash through this overblock with some very aggressive gameplay here with Scar for a Scar, followed up by the Dawn Blade trigger. Dawn Blade trigger going off, Refraction Bolters, breaking those to get the Go Again. And then I'm going to use Bracers and then swing for 6. And he has little option there but to take 6, which means that I am going to get a card draw and I get a card draw there, and I get a Dorinthia trigger. So really excellent turn for me. Not only did I use up his whole hand, I also broke through and did a ton of damage. So this is looking very favorable. After that, earlier I was a little worried, but that turn has really changed things a lot. He is going to go ahead and shoot me. He uses his Purifier and fires off a shot for 3. I know that he doesn't have other energy, so I'm kind of fine with just taking the damage here. He's not really threatening me that much. And now I'm going to try to get in. I have this Iron Song Determination here, and I'm going to try to use that to get in and keep my Dawn Blade counter up. I know that he might be able to block it. He does have a bunch of armor still. He could have drawn a big defense reaction, but I am going to try and get in there. I pitched the Energy Potion for hit and run, Iron Song Determination, swing, Dawn Blade for 5 with Dominate and Go Again. And I believe I have that Razor Reflex in Arsenal, so I'm hoping that's going to be enough to allow me to once again crash through his defenses and keep that pressure on with the Dawn Blade. This was a really fortunate time to hit my Iron Song Determination. I definitely had some good luck there because right after I landed that really big turn, I'm able to get this and prevent him from doing a big block to try and stabilize. But we will see whether or not he has the big defense reaction or similar that he might need to stop me. This would also be an amazing time to have another Twinning Blade because I could potentially play it and basically do the same thing that I just did. I could even, if I had a Twinning Blade in Arsenal right now, I could even assuming he blocks, I can Twinning Blade, play the hit and run from hand, come in again for another big attack, actually even bigger because it would be buffed by the hit and run. And then that would have Go Again as well, so then I could potentially get another hit. It would be very scary for my opponent. Unfortunately, I only had the one Twinning Blade available for this on this last turn. I do have 2 in the deck, but the second one's not here. This deck that I'm running right now, by the way, is kind of a hybrid of the deck that I was the deck that I've been playing in previous online events and had some good success with, and the Matt Rogers deck from the Red Riot Games online tournament that was incorporating the Time Snap Potions and Twinning Blades. I'm kind of in between. You know, I still have more generic attacks and stuff like that. I haven't totally gone over to that style of play. I'm actually pretty interested in that style of play, and I want to test it out, but my focus has been on Blitz recently because of all the skirmish events, so I have not had as much testing time as I would like over for the classic constructed format, and as a result of that, I decided I was going to go with something that was more similar to a deck that I'd already been using. All right, so he's thinking carefully about how to defend against this. It's a tough situation for him. Warrior really poses difficulties in terms of how you want to respond to this aggressive pressure, and so he's thinking about how to do it. Let's see what he chooses. And right now I am ahead of him on life. We have equivalent. I have slightly better armor, but he's probably going to get better use out of his skull cap than I am. So that might make up for it. So he goes for a basic 5 block, and then I have the Razor Reflex. I'm very happy to see the basic block because it means I'm going to be able to push through with Razor. And he can't really do anything about it. I score the hit for 3. Then I play the red hit and run and swing again. The red hit and run giving me go again, which doesn't matter in this case, but also giving me +3. So then this second attack is actually coming in for 8, and he's not going to be able to stop this one either. That is going to be a second Dawnblade counter for me. So very strong situation here in this game. And I am very happy. You know, I'm very happy to see this going on here. This is absolutely the sort of plays that I want to be making. So yeah, I have Dawnblade, base strength 3, counter for +1, Iron Song Determination for +1 and Dominate, and then +3 from a red hit and run played after I made a first attack, coming in for 8. It does have go again, but without a Twinning Blade, I don't have the option to do another attack. We will see how he defends against this, but I'm pretty sure he's not going to be able to stop it. He does still have some solid armor, so he ends up blocking for 4, so he is going to take 4, and that will also be a second +1 counter for the Dawnblade. Actually, it looks like he's maybe thinking about just blocking 3, maybe blocking 4. Yeah. Okay, so he blocks it up, and then another +1 counter. Dawnblade with 2 +1 counters. He's at 5 life. He doesn't have a lot of energy. He doesn't have a lot of cards in hand, and I have a bunch of stuff here. He pitches a Plasma Purifier. Very awkward card to have in hand at a time like this. And then he is going to arsenal his remaining cards. So whatever happened, I somehow got him caught in a bit of a quandary there. That might be a defense reaction that wasn't going to be enough to stop me, so he's going to save it to try to break things here. I do get the Twinning Blade now, but unfortunately I get it at a time where it's no longer going to be that applicable. Actually, this hand is not great, but my hope is that at the very least I can draw out a bunch of cards, maybe get a big overblock. I'm going to go for a Blue Warrior's Valor, pitch into Steelblade Supremacy, and then Dawnblade Swing. So I'm coming in for 7 if it hits draw a card, and I have 2 cards in hand, so I'm floating a fair amount of potential threat. I'm hoping to see a big block from my opponent here, and let's see what he goes for. Yeah, so it turns out the card that he put in Arsenal there was an unmovable. And he is able to stop my attack by pitching and using that. And then he did overblock by using his armor. But I don't, so, you know, that's fine. I didn't have a thing. I think I accidentally put the Steelblade Supremacy back in my hand somehow. I don't really know what happened there. But that should be in the discard pile. I don't really know what happened there. Yeah. So then pistol shot. He's buffed it up. So this time I'm going to have to endure some damage, but I am in a position where it's okay for me to do that because I have so much stuff. Taking 3. He pitches another unmovable. Loading up and shooting. Now, one thing that's not great about this situation is, you know, I am starting to get a little low on life, and he does still have some strong defense reactions available. However, here I have a hit and run, I have a hit and run, and I have a copy of Command and Conquer and Arsenal, which can definitely be a strong option for trying to break through in this circumstance. So I end up going Dawnblade with the hit and run. And I'm thinking here, one thing that I can do is throw out so I could throw out the Command and Conquer that I have in Arsenal. I could also use this Flock of the Featherwalkers. It's going to depend on what he does here. Let's see how he defends against this attack. So I can do Flock of the Featherwalkers from hand, revealing the Twinning Blade. That's going to give me a Quicken token for the next turn, or I can follow this up immediately with the copy of Command and Conquer that I have in Arsenal, try to put some pressure on him there. I think there's a fair chance he has a defense reaction, but I'm not 100% sure. So he goes for a single block. I'm thinking about it. Now, the one thing here is I end up going with the Flock of the Featherwalkers, and I think my reasoning is that this is going to allow me to hopefully set up another turn where I'm going to be able to do some stuff and then throw out the Command and Conquer. And the Flock of the Featherwalkers, because he's down to 5 life, it's actually going to force out some defense here, even though it's just damage. So he could, in theory, just block with his heart and go to 1, but it's extremely risky because I have Steelblade Shunts in here. So he ends up double blocking it, which is what he might have done against the Command and Conquer anyway. That probably is what he would have done, in fact. And this way I have the Quicken token for next turn. So I think that's a little bit better than the CNC play in this circumstance. I actually draw into another Flock of the Featherwalkers. Flock of the Featherwalkers combos with itself, which is kind of an odd state of affairs to be in. But because Flock of the Featherwalkers is a card where if you have the Quicken token from having played one already, you can play another one, which will get Go Again from that Quicken token, and then give you the second Quicken token that you can use on that same turn. So I'm thinking, this is my opportunity to do a really big turn. All I have to do is just take his damage, and now I have an excellent hand here, and I think I'm actually hoping to close out the game this turn. So I have the Quicken token. The first thing I'm going to do is go for my second Flock of the Featherwalkers. So I'm going to pitch the Twinning Blade or maybe I pitched the route, but I think I pitched the Twinning Blade to play another Flock of the Featherwalkers, showing a copy of Snatch. So this has Go Again from my first Quicken token. Then it gets a second Quicken token that is going to mean my next thing will also have Go Again. And so this is coming in for 5, and he has to block against it because he is, like, at the very least, he has to use his armor. And he probably has to block with a card from hand at least because the situation is so dangerous. He blocks for 3, so he's going to take 2. So then I have the second Quicken token for the Go Agains. Then I play this copy of Snatch for 4 with Go Again. From that Quicken token. If this hits, it will draw a card, which means that this is also a high priority block. So he's going to block with 1 card plus his armor, leaving him with just 2 cards left. And then I think I opt to use my Tunic rather than pitching the route in order to play the CNC from Arsenal. Because if I do it this way, I can then Arsenal the route and potentially use it to try to close out the game. So then Tunic and my 1 floating energy, Command and Conquer for 6, and my opponent is, showing that he actually cannot stop me. As predicted, it was a defense reaction in Arsenal. He actually had another one in hand. He can only block for 3, so the Command and Conquer gets in for 3 and wins the game. So that was an interesting game there. You know, a victory for Warrior, and it was ultimately one where he was able to set up, but not incredibly fast. I had some pressure on him. I had a really, really good turn when I broke through with that Twinning Blade, and that really put me in a commanding position moving into the end game. And then I was able to kind of just tank his damage and then overwhelm him with another big turn from that Flock of the Featherwalkers Go Again combo. So strong game there. Ultimately a victory for me against Will. And with that, I was going to move on to the finals. So I'm going to pause it here, guys. Any questions from the chat? Any thoughts on that game? Anything you guys want to know about this matchup or what I was thinking or anything else? Any thoughts from you on this game? While I find the next one. Let me know what you thought of that one, and we are going to have one more round on the stream today. It's actually going to be the finals of this event, and that is going to be another game of Warrior versus Dash. Any questions, guys? Any thoughts on that last one? I thought it was an interesting game. It was these Dorinthia versus Dash matchups are, in my opinion, a lot of fun. One thing that I don't like about the matchup is that it does feel a little higher variance than some others because the speed at which Dash gets her items out is so important to the matchup. But overall, I find it very interesting, and I kind of like I like sort of the craziness of like, I am the pure, I'm the super aggro. I've taken almost all the defense reactions out of my deck. My goal is to get in there and stop this guy and get him before he gets all his stuff set up. And if he does get his stuff set up, I'm just going to have to try to put on a crazy amount of pressure and just try to overwhelm him before he can get me. So that was what happened here, and I did manage to get the victory this time, and now we're going to see if I can do it again in the finals of this event. So this one, I erroneously did not stream like the very early first turn or something. It was his first turn, and I think all he did was load up his items in Arsenal. And then I am going to... So I had a bizarre hand this game. This is one of the weirdest first hands I had. I actually wasn't sure if the decks were shuffled. I had, I think, a hit and run yellow and then all three of my Warrior's Valor reds in my opening hand. So I end up going for a Warrior's Valor red Dawnblade swing. My opponent's going to block for 2 with armor and then also block for 4 with a Springboard Somersault from Arsenal, stopping it while also not activating Reprise. But as I have nothing that where Reprise matters, it is not going to be that important. So on to the next round here. This is going to be an interesting one. And we have 40 life to 40 life. I hadn't made my life counter yet. I think because he hadn't attacked me yet. But here comes the first pistol shot of the game. Coming in for 2. Uses that. 2 damage suffered. The induction chamber, very, very strong item. There's been some discussion about this one recently. In particular, in limited formats, induction chamber is just wildly powerful. It's like, I think it's like format warpingly good. It's probably, I mean, I don't know. Like, if you're playing draft, if you're playing Arcane Rising draft, and it's early on, I would draft Induction Chamber before I drafted the Legendary. Now in practice, maybe I wouldn't. It depends on how you're doing the draft. Maybe you want to get that money, and having the Legendary is going to let you get a more valuable card. I know some people do drafts where instead of keeping all the stuff that you drafted, there's some kind of like, winner at the end gets first pick or whatever. It's kind of complicated, but I know some people really don't like the idea of drafting for money value, and because of that, there are some kind of odd things that get used sometimes. So I end up going here for a Warrior's Valor into Dawnblade swing. I could have played the Steelblade Supremacy here as well. I'm not entirely sure why I didn't, actually. My opponent did manage to play an item that last turn. So then he's going to go for a double block. I play an Out for Blood red. That's going to give me +3 and my next attack +1. We'll see if he has a defense reaction. Yup, he does. There's a Fate Foreseen from Arsenal. That's going to stop the attack. And then I'm going to Arsenal something and move on. I think maybe my reasoning of not doing the Steelblade Supremacy is that I would have had to pitch my only remaining card and not had a card in Arsenal to play the Out for Blood if I did it that way, which might have turned out to be prudent given that he had the defense reaction to stop me anyway. So now he's going to shoot at me. And using his chamber. And then we're going to see a pitch, allowing him to load up all his items. Or, well, he has 1 still floating, but he's going to pitch, load up 2 of his items, shoot at me. I'm going to just take some damage. This is kind of classic for me also. I normally just don't block very much. I end up blocking with my bolters because I do want to make sure I don't waste the armor there. But then he's going to load up, and he actually pitches his other card also and is going to load up even more. So lots of pistol shots coming out at me this turn. Not how I want to start off the game, but that's how it goes sometimes. I think I end up blocking this one with Skullcap. Once again, I'm just trying to get maximum value out of my armor this game. Okay, so then on my turn, so one thing that I could do, so normally I might want to do Enlightened Strike into Command and Conquer here, but it's actually going to be very poor because he does not have a card in Arsenal, so that Command and Conquer is going to be a lot worse. I think I might end up doing Enlightened Strike into Snatch or Enlightened Strike into Warrior's Valor Swing. I don't remember exactly what I do, but I think it's E-Strike into something. This is unfortunately an all-red hand. That does happen sometimes with this deck. I only have, I think, 15 blues, which is not a lot of blues. But yeah, I end up sending the CNC away for now because I want that to come up. I want that to come up when possible, but I also don't want it in this current hand. So he blocks up. So I could go for the Warrior's Valor, but it's not going to make a ton of sense. So I go to play this copy of Snatch instead, and I am at least representing the potential Razor Reflex. He ends up blocking it for 4, and I'm actually fine with that because the card draw wouldn't have been valuable to me, and he used up some of his armor. So in that situation, I didn't actually manage. I only did like 2 damage there, but I did manage to get 2 cards out of his hand and get him to use another piece of armor, which is not terrible. However, I really would rather be doing like bigger and more explosive turns at this time. This is not where I want to be in this matchup. This is really it's really an odd start. I started a lot slower than I want to, and we're going to see if I can go ahead and get some momentum back. As he's shooting me here, I'm just taking these pistol hits. I think I debatably should have blocked one of these. But I think I'm trying to save stuff because my goal now is to just try and get a really big turn. So I'm going to do Warrior's Valor and Steelblade Supremacy and Swing, coming in at Strength 8. And if it hits, I will go again and draw a card. I can use my Tunic to play the Razor Reflex from hand and then Arsenal the Spoils of War if needed. But I'm coming in here for a lot of potential damage. It is going to be a total of 8 plus the attack reaction in hand. The only problem, though, is he has a card in Arsenal. If he has a big defense reaction set up, he might be able to stop me. He's going to go for a block. It looks like it's blocking 9. So that's going to be an overblock, but only a small overblock. I Tunic for the Razor going up to 11. So that is going to hit him for 2 unless he has a defense reaction, and he looks like he does not. So I hit him for 2. I get the go again, and I get Steelblade Supremacy, letting me drawing a blue Iron Song. Then I'm going to have Dorinthia's ability letting me swing again, and in this situation, I think likely the play is to just pitch. So because he's used so much of his hand and doesn't have a defense reaction, he may be unable to stop my next attack. So there's actually, what I actually do here, it's kind of wild. I play the Spoils of War and pitch the blue Iron Song. And then that's also going to allow me to use the bracers for another +1. So now I'm swinging, and my attack strength is 3, 4, 5 for the Supremacy, up to 7 for spoils, and then up to 8 from the bracers. And I won't be able to Arsenal the spoils, but this will get me 2 copper if it hits, which it does, inflicting 8 damage. And it will get me a card drawing a Flock of the Featherwalkers, which now I'm going to put in my arsenal. I accidentally pull out a Quicken token instead of the copper. If Spoils of War gave you 2 Quicken tokens, if it hit, it would be completely insane. So 2 copper there, and I will get a Dawnblade counter. That goes in Arsenal, or I'm like, wait a minute, before that goes in Arsenal, Dawnblade counter, blah, blah. And yeah, +1 counter on the Dawnblade, up to strength 4, Flock of the Featherwalkers and Arsenal. Debatably, I should have saved the Spoils of War there. I'm not 100% sure, but I decided not to try to just push even more damage through. And if I drew a generic attack that I could have played, like a Scarf or a Snatch, that could have been a good opportunity. My opponent pitches and triggers his... what's it called? He triggers his Mage Master Boots in order to play a Tome of Fyendal, allowing him to draw 2 cards and heal 2. And he still has an action point because that Tome of Fyendal gives it go. Those Mage Master Boots rather gives his Tome of Fyendal go again. And then he plays a 0 to 60, and I believe he boosts it and lands the boost. It's kind of risky to boost at this point, but he goes for it anyway, and then he's going to shoot a pistol shot for 2. And I think I maybe block with... Yeah, I block with my Skullcap there for 1, and then I take 1 damage. I don't think I do the damage immediately. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so pistol shot comes in. I block it with the Skullcap, taking 2. Or I'd taken 1 because I'd already used the Skullcap once, rather. That Arcanite Skullcap's a classic. So then I have another Spoils of War, and I'm going to do Spoils of War plus Swing coming in for 6. So if this attack manages to get in, I can then do the Enlightened Strike, or if this attack is blocked completely and doesn't get in, I can follow up with the E Strike. I can potentially use this Singing Steel Blade from hand. So he blocks for, I think it's 3 plus 4, so he's blocking 7. The attack's coming in for 6. This means that I can't Singing Steel Blade for Twinning Blade while also threatening a hit. He's thinking about whether or not to use Sink Below. Now, I could use Singing Steel Blade. The problem with this is if I use Singing Steel Blade to find a glint, I don't have a hit. If I use the Singing Steel Blade to find an Iron Song and he has another defense reaction, I'm in big trouble. And the way that he blocked here implies that he does have another defense reaction, because this is a very important block, and normally you would want to block it fully with normal stuff and then have the defense reaction available as backup. It's possible he's just playing really risky, or he has a bunch of items in hand or something, but I think there's a good chance that he is in a position where he does not have a I think there's a good chance he's in a position where he does not have a handful of items and rather has another defense reaction waiting for me. And so if I use the Singing Steel Blade to try to just push through damage, I think there's a good chance that I get stopped cold here, and then I wouldn't be able to play either the E-Strike or the copy of... I would be able to play neither the E-Strike nor the Flock, so I end up not playing the Singing Steel Blade, and instead I'm going to just go ahead with Flock of the Featherwalkers using my Go Again, coming in for 5, and I get the Quicken token. I show him the E-Strike. I maybe should have showed him the other one, but that's fine. And so that one lands the hit for 5 damage, and I am going to draw on up. I do have the Quicken, which synergizes well with an E-Strike, incidentally. And there I see my opponent did have the defense reaction, by the way. It was a copy of Fate Foreseen, and he pitches it and one other card to play a Spark of Genius. Now, in this situation, it's possible I should have tried to push it anyway, because he would have had to use the defense reaction and then wouldn't have had the energy to play the Spark of Genius in order to get another item, but it's hard to say. It's possible he would have just loaded up his stuff and then used Spark of Genius anyway to get a Teklo core. So, you know, it's one of those situations where it's hard to know what the best play necessarily was. I'm going to use my E-Strike, putting back a Twinning Blade, which I don't think is going to be that valuable this turn, and doing E-Strike 5, draw card, E-Strike 5, draw card, and Go Again. He blocks 3 and takes 2. I now have a ton of buffs for my Dawnblade, so I'm going to swing Dawnblade for 3, 1 floating. It doesn't have Go Again, but I have a lot of ways to buff it, and I'm thinking with all these buffs, this might be an opportunity to try to break through with the Refraction Bolters. So he takes the hit. I'm going to use the Refraction Bolters, use Dorinthia's ability, and then I'm thinking about what to do with respect to energy. There's an argument for pitching here to use the bracers for +1, but I think I'm just going to try to push through, because if I just try to push through like this, I can potentially play 2 attack reactions, and if I use the bracers, I can only play 1 attack reaction. So he goes for an armor block, and then I pitch and play a Razor to go up to 6, which is going to break through his armor block, inflicting 3 damage and scoring me a Dawnblade counter. Then I'm going to be able to Arsenal the Iron Song response. So pretty good situation for me. Managed to get a Dawnblade counter up and have an attack reaction waiting in Arsenal. And now I am going to draw on up, and we'll see what he can do in return. I have a weird hand there with 2 potions, but I can potentially do hit and run, pitching one of the potions to swing, have some attack reactions to try to break through, and if I don't break through, I can play the other potion instead. My opponent, meanwhile, is loading up his items, a classic element of Mechanologist gameplay. He's used his Plasma Purifier. He shoots me for 3 using his Chamber. And then we're going to see him loading up the pistol and shooting me again for 3. And using his Chamber. And loads there. He's going to load up all of his stuff and shoot me again for 3. Classic Mechanologist gameplay. Once he's got this stuff, he can really put a lot of pressure on. And I'm getting low on life. He's also getting a little low on life, though. He won't have a card in Arsenal this turn, and I have a Dawnblade counter. So I'm hoping that I can keep that pressure high, keep my Dawnblade counter going, and use that to try and overwhelm him as we move into the end game here. So let's see what we can do. Counter on the Tunic. I'm going to play the blue hit and run, and then I decided to pitch the energy potion here to swing. This allows me to play the time snap potion afterwards. I think my reasoning from this was that my tunic was about to be charged up, and I was more worried about not having go again, especially with the bracers now broken, than I was about not having energy. We'll see if that ends up being prudent or not. So my opponent here does have a full hand, but his armor he has no armor remaining. He used up his Iron Rot Gauntlet. He's used up both blocks on his FAB Foundry Heart, and I think he does have one block left on his Skull Cap, but he has more life than me, so his Skull Cap is strength is 0. He ends up just taking 4 here, which is extremely weird. I don't entirely know why he did that, and then I'm going to use bracers and swing for 5. Yeah. I don't know why he did it like that. I think that generally it's better to try to block the first one if possible. I think maybe he was worried about me doing like some tricky thing. I just let him have that. I could have played both of my Iron Song responses to break through, but I've decided that it's better because I already have the counter. I've decided that I'm going to save those and try to use them on a future turn to get a bigger breakthrough then. So I have a Scar for a Scar, but I don't have the energy. So I have a Scar for a Scar here, but I don't have the energy to actually or I don't have the life total to make it have go again. I have a copy of Snatch here. I'm sort of wishing that I had played out the Time Snap Potion with this hand, but I do have the 2 Iron Song responses, and I think my plan here is going to be, okay, we're going to go for the Dawnblade swing. We're going to try to break through with the Iron Song responses to keep that counter and see what he's going to do on the defense against it. This isn't the turn that I wanted. I would love to have a Warrior's Valor, Spoils of War, hit and run, something like that to give me go again, give me a lot more options. But unfortunately, this is the hand that I had, and I got to make do sometimes. So not the greatest hand, but we'll see what I can do with it. I believe my plan here is going to be to, I think I end up pitching the Scar for a Scar to do the Dawnblade swing. So I actually pitched the copy of Snatch, and I think maybe my reasoning there is that I'm likely to be less life than him soon because he'll probably still be able to do pistol barrages against me, and then I'm going to be able to use that to get the Scar for a Scar with go again. He blocks 9 against my attack for 4, and this time I actually am going to use the double attack reactions, go up to 10, and by using up those cards, I'm going up to 10. I'm going to hit him for 1. And more importantly, I'm going to keep that potion. Unfortunately, I didn't have something to give me go again. Or more importantly, I'm going to keep that counter. Unfortunately, I didn't have something for go again. If I did, that would have been a much better situation. But that's what happens sometimes. This turn, my opponent is going to pitch and load up. And I'm actually kind of happy about this because my hope is that I'm going to be able to take a bunch of damage here, get below him on life, and then be able to play Scar for a Scar. So buffs up the pistol shot and shoots me for 3 using the induction chamber. I confirm that I have the Scar for a Scar, and I'm like, yeah, you know what? Take it. Second pistol shot coming in for 3. Take it. Now I'm lower life than him. And then third pistol shot coming in for 3. That one I block 2 of it. So I only take 1 using that block on the Brave Forge bracers. And now it is going to be over to me, but I have a big turn here. I'm going to be able to do Scar for a Scar, and then I'm also going to be able to do E-Strike, and then I'm also going to be able to do a weapon attack. So I have a lot of threat here. Scar for a Scar, leading off, coming in for 4 with go again. Opponent blocks with 1 card. He's going to take 1. I'm fine with that. Now we're going to have E-Strike, so it's going to be, I forget which card I put away with the E-Strike. It might be the Time Snap Potion. Or it might be the Twinning Blade. Either way, I'm going to end up... actually, it's sort of interesting here because I also have the option to use my Tunic. I think I put away the Time Snap Potion. So yeah, E-Strike 5, go again, putting away the Time Snap Potion. So this is threatening some more damage, and he's now really low, so he does block heavily, blocking it for all 5. Only 1 card left, and I'm hoping this means that I'm going to be able to now score a hit with my Dawnblade. So Dawnblade, using the Tunic to swing the Dawnblade for 4. So now my hope is just that he doesn't have a defense reaction in Arsenal that he can play against this, and that this is going to get in. But there's no guarantees of that, of course. So Dawnblade coming in for 4. If he does block with a card from hand, I can potentially Iron Song response. But if he has a defense reaction from Arsenal, he will be able to finally remove my precious counter. Although in that case, I'll be able to Arsenal the Iron Song response, which will be a good tool to have going into future turns. He's thinking about it. The good thing also is that none of his items have steam counters on them, so he ends up taking the 4. I'm fine with that. I'm going to keep my counter. I'm going to arsenal the Iron Song response. It does mean that he's probably going to be able to do some more damage to me in return or do something. But he might also have a Teklo core in hand, which would be very awkward. But he does not. He ends up loading. And then actually he plays, his arsenal card was the second Plasma Purifier. So he ends up playing that. And I'm actually kind of happy to see that. And it sounds weird to say, but the reason that I'm happy to see that is that it means that he does not have an arsenal defense reaction, and I can keep pressuring him here. But unfortunately, I have another hand that is going to be less aggressive than I'd hoped. I actually wish he had shot at me because I could have taken some damage and enabled that Scar for a Scar that I have in hand. So this time I come in with the Dawnblade, and he's going for a... This time he can actually use his... he can finally use his Skullcap, so he blocks for 4. I play the Iron Song response from Arsenal to go up to 7, and we'll see if he has a defense reaction. Unfortunately, he does. It's a sink below, and that is going to allow him to finally knock the counter off my Dawnblade. Now, unfortunately, I've had several turns here that are not as strong and aggressive as I would like to be, but that is what happens sometimes. And hopefully I'm going to be able to turn that around. I have a Scar for a Scar in Arsenal, so if he deals me some damage, I'll be able to do that. I have a Twinning Blade and a CNC, and now I have another Scar for a Scar and a Flock of the Featherwalkers, which could potentially lead to a really big turn. Let's see what I can do. So I'm hoping that this is going to allow me to put up a lot of aggression and overwhelm him. So he's going to lead off with a 0 to 60, I believe. Yeah, I think it's a 0 to 60. Yeah. And I think he's like deciding whether or not to boost or something. I don't know exactly what he's doing here. So on my turn, my hope is that so I'm just going to take some damage here. And my hope is to take some damage, get lower than him on life, and then throw out Scar for a Scar. Okay, so I end up deciding I'm only going to block 1 of this. And the reason that I decide to do this is because this way, if I do the first Scar for a Scar and he blocks with 1 card, which is normal, he'll still be above me in life, and the second Scar for a Scar will also have go again. Normally, I might have wanted to block that for more, but I'm thinking in this case about trying to maximize the output of these copies of Scar for a Scar. And with him so low, I'm thinking that he's going to want to block them. So my hunch is right. He blocks with 1 card and takes 1 damage, allowing me to play the second Scar for a Scar, also for 4 with go again, which means this is going to be a 3-attack turn instead of a 2-attack turn. So nice little bonus there. He does block with that one. Now we're 5 life to 5 life. And then I'm going to pitch and throw out the Command and Conquer. Hopefully this will get him to block with his remaining cards, or it will break his arsenal. Either way, this is a lot of threat, and I'm hoping this is going to allow me to step into the driver's seat on this in this game here. He does go for the double block. That's great for me. It means that he doesn't have an next turn. I'll arsenal the Flock of the Featherwalkers, and hopefully I'm going to have my Tunic charged up. We'll see what I get. Hopefully this is going to allow me to close out the game here, as he's going to have to skip a turn. And my hand is very unusual. So I have Iron Song Determination and Steelblade Supremacy, which are really good. I have another Flock of the Featherwalkers. I don't have anything for go again, which is pretty awkward here. So I'm thinking about what the best way to do this is. Now on the plus side, I do have the Tunic, and I do have the Singing Steelblade. So one thing that I could do here is try to use Iron Song Determination. There is a chance that if I just use Iron Song Determination and push, that he doesn't have a defense reaction and I'll be able to win. But it's risky. The other thing that I could do is go for the Steelblade Supremacy, potentially buffed by the Singing Steelblade, to try to get me some sort of breakthrough. It's kind of a complicated situation. I end up just going for a Dawnblade swing here. And my reasoning is I think that I want to play the Steelblade, I think that I want to play the Singing Steelblade, and I'm thinking that he will probably have to block under these circumstances. So he's going to block for 3, and I'm going to play the Singing Steelblade, but he thinks about it, and he decides to take back the block, which I'm actually not happy about. I really want to have him blocking here so that I can use the Singing Steelblade to get go again, and then allow me to play something else. So because he doesn't block, I actually play the Singing Steelblade just for the stat, with the hope that it will hit him down to 1 and I can kill him with Shunt. But then he blocks it with a Springboard Somersault from Arsenal, and now I'm actually in big trouble because he was able to hold that off without using any cards from hand, and now he's going to be able to do a big attack against me. So that was a critical moment for him. If he had blocked there, I'm pretty sure that I would have got him because I could do Singing Steelblade into Glint. and that would put me in a really strong position. And I was expecting him to block, but he had that defense reaction from Arsenal. I was talking to him after the game, and I think he said that he actually forgot that he had the defense reaction in Arsenal, and that was why that turn ended up being like that. And then he realized he had it and was like, "Oh man, this is a great opportunity." But that turn went really poorly for me. In retrospect, I think it might have been a good idea to use my Steelblade Supremacy there to make it a higher block priority and ensure that I would be able to play the copy of Singing Steelblade. But as it was, he was able to block that without enabling Reprise, and it's really put me in a perilous position. So I'm blocking the first 2 pistol shots and going down to 3 life. It's really not where I want to be. And then he's going to come in with another one here, or he comes in with a zipper hit here and hits his boost. And so that means that I am actually going to die because I just do not have the block left. I think it's a red zipper hit coming in for 5. And because he hit his boost, he's going to be able to follow up with a pistol shot for 4. And I only have 5 block remaining with my 2 cards in my tunic. So I am not able to stop this, and he is actually going to take the game. Very interesting game. I think I may, looking back on it, I think I may have made a blunder at the end by not playing the copy of Steelblade Supremacy in order to try to force him to block. I think that would have been a better move because I could have done, with the Steelblade Supremacy, I would be threatening enough damage that he wouldn't be able to stop it from Arsenal unless it was an unmovable, which would have used also another card. And by doing that, I would have forced out a block from hand that could enable the Reprise on the Singing Steelblade. So I think that was a bit of a mistake. I don't know why I didn't play the Steelblade Supremacy there. I think maybe I was trying to bluff that I had big attack reactions to just go up and kill him if he doesn't block. But he did not fall for it, didn't go for the block, was able to stop it with that defense reaction from Arsenal, and then on his next turn, hitting that boost from the zipper hit meant that he was able to close out the game. That said, even if he hadn't hit the boost from the zipper hit, I would have survived, but I wouldn't have been in a good spot. Probably what I would do, let's say he does the zipper hit and he misses the boost, I still have to block either with 2 cards or with a card and my tunic here, and I end up in a ton of trouble. Probably what I do is I block with Flock plus my tunic, and then I play the copy of Snatch. But that's still, that's not a great position, and he can load up and shoot me on his own turn and has the advantage there. So very interesting game. I actually felt like I was winning this game and doing pretty well. I felt like it was bad at first. Then in the mid game, I feel like I took the lead. And towards the end, I was actually feeling really good about the situation. But I think a combination of me attacking badly or him defending well or whatever it was meant that I kind of lost the momentum at the end there with that springboard somersault, and he was able to come in and get me. So ultimately, I was the runner-up in that event. My opponent with the win. Congratulations to him. 2 interesting dash games. All right, guys, that's going to do it for this stream. Let me know if you guys have any questions or comments or anything. I see there's some people in chat. If any of you guys have thoughts on the matchup, thoughts on any of the games, stuff like that, feel free to ask. But otherwise, I am going to be closing down the stream shortly. This was another fun one there. And I want to give a shout out to FAB Foundry. So FAB Foundry, they are the ones who actually put this. They're the ones who actually put this league together. FAB Foundry is a online store selling singles, and I think they sell some card sleeves and stuff like that, but they've also been doing some events that are cool for the community. They had the West Coast, it was called the West Coast Playtest League, which was kind of the predecessor of this event, only for people on the West Coast of the US. And that one I played in and actually won, and then this one was open also to people from the East. And this one, I was the runner-up. Now they're going to do another season of it. If you guys like playing Classic Constructed, I know a lot of the focus has been on Blitz recently, but if you guys like playing Classic Constructed instead of Blitz, this might be a good opportunity for someone who's trying to get some more experience. I would definitely recommend checking out FAB Foundry, and I'm going to try to find the link here to that site and put it into the chat for you guys. So there's this event coming up. They're selling tickets, and all the proceeds of tickets are going to go. All the proceeds of tickets are going to go towards prizes. There are prizes for this, so I think I won some stuff by being the top person in the West Coast last week, and then this week for runner-up, I got some prizes as well. I think I got some store credit to FAB Foundry, and I also, I believe, got some, what's it called? I forget exactly what it's called. I think it's the... I think I got some unlimited cards. The second season is going to be sponsored as an Armory event, I believe. So there's going to be a 3x experience modifier. So if you're someone who prefers Tabletop Simulator to... if you're someone who prefers Tabletop Simulator to webcam or prefers Classic Constructed to skirmish or both, this is going to be, I think, a good opportunity for you in terms of potentially getting some experience with those. So I'm going to link... I'm going to send a quick link here. So this first link is going to be to league signups there in the chat. And I am going to put this in the, when I upload this to YouTube, probably tomorrow, I'm going to put this in the video description as well. So then there's the description in the chat. And yeah, so the FAB Foundry events there. And actually, if you feel like supporting my channel while you're doing this, I do have somewhere here, I have a affiliate link with FAB Foundry, where if you guys visit their site and pick something up after having visited with this link, it will allow me to get a small percentage of the profits. So if anyone feels like supporting the channel while or buying cards from FAB Foundry while also supporting me, there is going to be a little link there as well. So that's going to be, let's see here. I'm just gonna save that one. I'll just put that one in the video description when the time comes. I can't find it immediately, and I want to close down the stream. Thank you to you all for watching. Check out the further seasons of this event. It's gonna be a lot of fun in my opinion, and yeah, so you can see what's gonna happen there with the online Classic Constructed. I think it's going to, if you go on the link that I put there, I think it starts on the 13th and 14th of March, so it's coming up pretty soon. And that event, I think, is looking to be a lot of fun, as well as showcasing the Classic Constructed format, which is, in my opinion, the deeper and more interesting format. Blitz is a lot of fun. I've been having great fun with Blitz, but Classic Constructed, I think, is kind of the game at its next level. All right, guys, that's going to do it for this stream. So anyone who wants to check out more content, I have a blog at towernumber9.com. You can see the link in the bottom right of the video there. And then additionally, I want to just say that I have a another stream coming up on Thursday, 5:00 p.m. Pacific. And we're going to have some more, I'm not entirely sure what we're going to do for that. I think it's going to be some more recorded gameplay. But 5:00 p.m. Pacific, 8:00 p.m. Eastern, that should be the next stream. Thank you all for watching, and we will be back later with some more Flesh and Blood content. There is a chance also that I'll do some Star Wars Legion. I know I have some Legion fans, but Flesh and Blood has really got my attention a lot more than Legion has these days, I must admit. All right, guys, that's going to do it for this one. Thanks to you all for watching, and we will be back later with more Flesh and Blood content. See you guys.